Good morning, everybody. Um, Today we are going to start getting into the occult with the Candace Owens investigation and the Charlie Kirk murder. So, if you saw my last video, I think uh, that it was, it's the Trump administration. Um, that's what I kind of thought from the beginning. It kind of made sense because Charlie Kirk, and this is before I really knew anything about Charlie Kirk or TPUSA. I had come across him probably in April, around there, of 2025, because he was challenging some wacko feminist in at some university. And I was like, oh no, this is too funny. I was like, thank you, thank you, thank you, Lord. Somebody, somebody. Because I've been all by my little lonesome and hated by everybody in Washington and everybody I know. I mean, I am from white privilege, but I'm not from a wealthy family. In fact, my family tree goes back to the early Puritan movement in England. And this is also, see, this is what everybody, the whole thing with the American dream, this is not the American dream. Like Trump, that's not the American dream. That's the dream, American dream of the robber barons, but not of the Puritans and Quakers who came here and founded the country. In fact, my family tree includes founding father John Dickinson. Now, my father always said we were related as well to John Paul Jones. Now, the Paul, because the Jones he added afterwards, he was considered a pirate and all of that. But his last name was Paul. So the Paul family, I haven't been able to trace him. You go on my ancestry.com thing. Um, the Paul family, but what's interesting about the Paul family, and this is Rand Paul, and what's the other Paul? Ron. And so the Paul family, there's the Scottish and the Irish branch, and they were at some point. This is all from my book in the history chapter. I mean, it's a huge amount of history that's going to be condensed into just one chapter. I mean, it could fill even several books. But anyway, so that family they were originally warriors, and they were like to protect so this should have been Roman times, I guess, the upcoming from the south, the invaders from the south. So anyway, they were like warrior families and always known as warrior families. So I guess that fits with John Paul Jones. Anyway, John Dickinson, he was the founding father who provided most of the rhetoric. With Thomas Jefferson, they were the authors of most of the documents. Eric Bolling might be interested in that instead of sitting on his ivory tower. I mean, his son died of an opioid overdose. So, like, come on, buddy, get with the picture. What you gonna do? Sit around and write another book? God. The thing is it's like all just about getting your book published, and then you have arrived. The publishers are laughing all the way to the bank, particularly Skyhorse Publishing in New York. Oh, we're getting into that. That was Bobby Kennedy's campaign, and Tim Tim Melton, with the banking crisis, problems. Everybody, finally, people are starting to wake up about what's going on, siphoning off. And I mean, some people have known, but the central banks have worked in the building right underneath the Fed. It's too funny. I got my eye on them. Um, so anyway, I digress. So let's get on with it. Um, so what I wanted to get into, this is this young woman. I do advise people to go and visit her, Elizabeth April, her channel. I mean, what like fascinated me, and I was like, no, I gotta see this one, was remote viewing of like what is that? The alien base out in the out in the American desert. Um, so yeah, that's real interesting. You should check that out. So anyway, we're gonna go on with it. Let's
As strap onto your seatbelts. This is going to be a wild ride. We're going to be talking about the current state of the world, specifically within politics, but really what we're going to look at today is we are going to be lifting the veil and taking a look at what is really going on behind the headlines, behind the scenes, at a global political level, and what we can expect moving forward. A lot of people are speculating we are on the brink of World War III, and when you take a look at what's happening, the USA dropping bombs on Venezuela, and the monks that are walking for peace, and everything in between, it kind of looks that way. Now, just a reminder, everyone, I am a remote viewer. In order to do what I do as a remote viewer, to leave my body and to gather information that you will not get anywhere else, maybe other than from another remote viewer, okay, I have to be bipartisan. I have to be neutral. I can't have.
Yeah, one one thing I like about her, she says she doesn't really follow like political news or of course she knows like yeah, okay, they bombed Venezuela. But she does it to just so that she does remain completely neutral and not influenced by all the social influencers that are out there. Um, so, but also in context, see, now I lived abroad for 20 years. I first moved abroad when I was 14 to England. My family went to London. My father was a cardiologist, and he was known for his research in the treatment of thrombosis. So anyway, we I lived abroad for 20 years in the 70s, 80s, 90s. I came back to, I came back for college. I worked for a while, went back, Paris, met my husband, and then, well, my ex-husband. So I lived abroad, and I am my organization, Global Expats, of course, but I'm not the globalist that everybody's hating because I am a globalist, but this is the paradigm shift that I'm trying to implement, which is what she explains.
An opinion. I can't have an attack.
Well, let's go. Okay, here, overview.
To sort of what's been going on. I mean, we are what, 5 days in to 2026, January 5th, 2026, and there's a lot of shit going on right now. Specifically today, I'm going to be talking about the bombing in Venezuela and also the monk walk, but mostly the bombing and then the implications of that, and then obviously what I saw that is going on behind the scenes. We're going to talk a lot about Trump. We're going to talk a lot about the New World Order. We're going to talk a lot about the shadow government, and I even went over to the White Hats or the Collective to get their take on what is happening right now, and it's wild. We're seeing movement. Like I said, take or leave any of this because it's going to get a little dicey. All right. So let's just talk about, for those of you who do not pay attention to politics, who don't pay attention to global news, or don't really care about the USA, great. Glad to have you here as well. But let's just kind of give you a recap on what happened this past weekend. Okay.
I don't encourage that. I'm trying to get people to take an interest. Democracies cannot work without an informed public. And the ruling elite have certainly showed that with their ivory tower living. I keep on telling all of my family and friends, you guys, Marie Antoinette, you remember how that ended?
So essentially, there were bombs that were dropped in/on Venezuela. I also say that country really weird. I don't know why, I just can't say it properly, but forgive me for that. And essentially, sort of what the narrative is, let's say, is that the U.S. wanted to take the president of Venezuela in order to convict him of drug trafficking crimes. Okay, so that's kind of the narrative that we are being given. That being said, there are many different narratives that people are talking about. There's many different conspiracies that are being put on the table. I know that one part of the American population is thinking that this is an attack in order to steal resources like oil and gold. And then there's another part of the population in America who are thinking that this is actually truly about drug trafficking and, crimes against humanity and other things. And, it's like going to the source of the problem.
Okay, the drug trafficking stuff pisses me off because I lived in Colombia and Bogota from 97 to 2000 and 2003. Um, so my perspective, and I was denounced. It was like, wait a second, unless you get rid of all the drug consumption, you're not going to get rid of the drug production. And that's bullshit. It's Colombia. And precisely, they got rid of it there with Plan Colombia in 1999, goes to Mexico. So Venezuela's really not in the whole drug war. They're the guy that sells the dime bag of pot at the corner.
And drugs are a big problem, here in the States. And truly, I guess what they're thinking, or what's happened, because I don't follow any of this stuff. So this is just sort of secondhand research that I had to look up. But like I said, this is take it or leave it. This isn't what I've remote viewed. This is just the narrative out there. And essentially what they're saying is that I guess Venezuela was a really big sort of drug trafficking hub. And a lot of the drugs that ended up in the USA kind of went through them. So that's sort of the narrative. Now, Trump's actions directly went against Congress and the United Nations. And what's interesting is now the vice president of Venezuela is talking with China and Russia. And the reason why is because China, Iran, and Russia are actually the biggest importers of Venezuelan oil. And so a lot of people out there are talking about World War III. Is this going to essentially start World War III? Because you've got these huge powerhouses that are about to turn against each other because of, sort of.
People, this is where we're headed. Because we're starting to see, conflict all over. And somebody, I forget, I was listening last night, somebody made the point that China's going to invade Taiwan. Well, they're going to start. Wait a second, you guys do this, I'm going to do that. Then
this really big move this past weekend. What's interesting is that the people of Venezuela, at least most of them, seem to actually be celebrating the fact that the president was taken in. There's a lot of reasons for this, and mostly it's because the president was super corrupt. Their access to food has been limited. Prices have been going up. And apparently, but don't quote me on this, the president wasn't actually chosen. The people didn't really actually vote for him, and yet he's still the president. So a lot of corruption happening there. Okay. Once again, guys.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the thing she's forgetting there is even when there's elections, people aren't choosing the president.
Please do your own research on this. I'm going to tell you what I saw, and as always, take it or leave it. Before we get to what I remote viewed on all of this, what's happening at a bigger scale, and what we could kind of expect for the future, which is interesting to say the least. Right now, as we speak, as bombs are being dropped, there are 19 Buddhist monks that are walking 2,300 miles from the state of Texas to the state of Washington, D.C. Everyone is talking about this right now. And it's a walk for peace, right? It's a walk to promote peace, nonviolence, unity, and to help wake people up to say, we're done with this, and we want to do something about this. Okay, so they're doing something, and that's a very powerful statement. So we've got this dichotomy that's happening on planet Earth right now. I mean, especially in the USA, but that dichotomy is affecting the rest of the planet as well. Oh, lots of info here. Okay, so bear with me. These are my notes. I always write notes as I remote view. So yeah, it's a lot. But like I said, it could trigger some people. So as always, take it or leave it. Before I get into the remote viewing, just a couple of house cleaning things, announcements I want to make. Let's talk about what I remote viewed and what I saw on everything that's happening with the United States and the rest of the world. My main intention when I sat down, closed my eyes, disconnected from my body, what I wanted to see, because it's such a big topic to cover, is, and I wrote it down, what is happening behind the scenes right now at a global political level. As always, take it or leave it. All right. So the events that are occurring right now have the potential to lead to a cataclysmic event, which would be nuclear war. Okay, I don't want you to freak out about this. Months ago, I was doing remote viewing and I saw the same thing. Essentially, and I've had actually multiple dreams where it's like this giant fire wave that comes through and just disintegrates everything. How do I even put this? This is such a big topic. So every single timeline exists. If we want to talk quantum mechanics, right? All timelines exist. There is a timeline existing where I had my hair down today. There's a timeline existing where I didn't choose a blazer. There's a timeline existing where I didn't have a ring on, and so on and so forth. And yet everything else is identical. Every single possibility that can exist is currently existing to infinity, which is pretty mind-blowing in and of itself. And that is just the way that the universe works, okay? That being said, there are two main timelines on planet Earth right now. One timeline, which is the old Earth, the third dimension frequency, a different reality, a different timeline, but essentially it's a timeline where the majority of the population are at a lower vibration. What's really interesting is there are different timelines per individual, and there are also different collective timelines. Based on the collective consciousness level or the frequency level of the collective, it will shoot you into one collective timeline or another. That all being said, okay, there are two main timelines, one that is lower and one that is higher. And what I have seen time and time again for probably over a decade now is that
this is all pretty fascinating if anybody knows anything about quantum physics.
There is one timeline, the lower timeline, that is going to completely collapse. And that is one of the main timelines that we're hopping in and out of right now. Everything that's happening right now is not an initiator for the collapse of that timeline, because it was initiated a long time ago, but everything that's happening right now could potentially lead to a nuclear war. And that is not to be scared.
Yeah,
because it is possible to either not exist in that timeline at all, or if that were to occur, to hop into a different timeline like nothing ever happened. This is where concepts like the Mandela effect come into place, where half the population remember the movie Star Wars and it says, Luke, I am your father at the end of that movie, versus now, apparently the timeline that we're in says, no, I am your father. To me, that never existed, okay? But we're in an alternate timeline now. So this is possible. This is totally possible. There is no such thing as death. There is no such thing as the end. If you want to know more about timeline hopping, the end of the world, please, please, please go watch my video. It's called The Rapture is Happening, End of the World Events, whatever. I just did that.
Unfortunately, I still haven't seen that, but yeah, definitely something to look at. I mean, you always have to keep an open mind. I'm not, I don't never had any problems with the basic fundamentals of religion, and I'm always open to listening to. There's one guy who knows, like, really informed about Christianity, um, who, I forget, Abram something or other. But anyway,
that video, I think a month ago, please go watch it. It will explain a lot. But this, everything that's happening right now is tying into that prediction. It is tying into that, okay? If you want to know more about timeline hopping and quantum mechanics, go watch The Rapture is Happening, just not the way that you think. Go watch that video right after this. Okay, so let's talk one world order. Okay, hold on. Let me remind you of good old Donald Trump, okay? As always, like I said, I do not choose sides. I am Canadian. I could not care less. I just want the truth. And the truth is behind the scenes. It's not what we are being fed. It is not what we are being projected. What people are thinking, the reason why we bombed Venezuela, none of that is actually the truth from what I saw, okay? I need to remind you that Donald Trump's mission, his mission, the reason why his soul incarnated into the meat suit that he is existing in, is to disrupt. He is here to disrupt, to destabilize, and to essentially collapse the current system. We are not talking about the current American USA system. We are talking about he is here to disrupt and collapse and dismantle the global structure, the global system. Okay? What is taking place right now has nothing really to do with the president. It has nothing really to do with oil. It has nothing really to do with drugs. It doesn't. Okay? It is about collapsing the current system. All right. So I also picked up on like this redistribution of wealth and resources. One thing that I have to.
This is particular. This is the part that is most interesting to me, and really where my work, at least I would like to move in. Get my sons back. Thank God they did engineering, civil engineering instead of banking. Miss Bill.
To make very clear, Donald Trump is here to create chaos and dismantle the current system. He is, however, not here to create new solutions. And I have to repeat that. Donald Trump is not here to create new solutions. He's essentially here to fuck shit up, okay?
Note that, please, people. He is here to fuck shit up.
And then there's going to be a cleanup crew, and that is not him.
And this is the part I hope to be part of that cleanup crew.
Okay? He's not supposed to lead us into salvation. He is supposed to collapse what has not been working. Now, here's what I picked up on. So that all came through in the remote.
And this has not been working since the robber barons came to town.
View. The one world order and the shadow government, okay, is pissed. They are actually really pissed off at Trump. I'm open, right? Is he doing their bidding? Is he...
Now, the shadow government, the globalist, you have the shadow government like at the national level, that you're looking at Tim Mellon, of course, this Edelson woman, and that ding, my issues with Randy Hines in Las Vegas during the Bobby Kennedy campaign. So there's Morgan Stanley, but then there's also what is it, Blankfein or Blankfeld or something, who's that Goldman Sachs. He was real buddy with Christine Lagarde. There's Christine Lagarde, David Malpass. So these are the actors at the globalist, Klaus Schwab, isn't that his name? So anyway, yeah, so there's two levels there, but then the UN and, after World War II, they were created, UN, IMF, World Bank were created in order to prevent a World War III. But what those have just been used as social climbing tools for people coming, educated foreigners coming into the United States. They're, of course, IMF, World Bank, DC, and UN, New York City. Now, this is in American jurisdiction, so we do have U.S. federal law to deal with those issues. So anyway, let's go on.
Is he going against them? And it came through in this remote view that no, they're angry at him. And one of the things that came through is The shadow government, the one world order, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, the powers that were, okay? New world order, whatever you want to call them, okay? They operate without borders. They operate without beyond culture, beyond language. Everything that we see as countries and politics and NGOs, non-government organizations, it's bullshit. It's a game. It's a charade.
Yeah.
Okay.
The NGOs, IMF, World Bank, UN, but then there's a whole bunch of other smaller ones or satellite ones of them. Then you have the think tanks, nonprofits. So, I mean, this is enormous, enormous.
Okay, it is a projected reality that we have so easily bought into. All right. That being said, they had it easy. Okay,
Oh yeah,
everything was going good. Everything, it was just like,
you cannot imagine salaries. As I say, I work right in the building right underneath the Federal Reserve. Um, so we get a lot of IMF and World Bank clientele, but people come and all of these guys get a discount for lunch. So I'm always asking, do you work at this, at that, where, and people be like, well, I'd love to work at the IMF or World Bank because they got real good benefits and salary. I'm like, yeah, but they're going to have to pay the price and pay the piper when the house of cards collapses.
people aren't really questioning, and we can just kind of do our operations as normal. Trump is coming in, not that he is some sort of savior or godsend or anything. I think I'm not even going to voice my own opinion, but he's coming in and he's shaking things up, and they're not happy about it. Okay? Because things were pretty easy. They had their systems in place. However, what came up here, which is fascinating, is that the one world order, okay, new world order, whatever, they can use what Trump is doing right now to restructure it the way that they want. So let's just hypothetically imagine the entire system of planet Earth. Let's call it the political system, the financial system, the education system, the border system. Let's just say all the systems on planet Earth completely dismantled, okay? Completely sort of taken down. Everything's in chaos. There is no structure anymore. There are two possible ways.
That's when I step in.
Is forward from that point. One direction forward is that the shadow government continues to assert their power and influence, and they create this new world order, this one world government system where you will own,
which is an Orwellian nightmare.
Nothing, and you will be happy about it, and all power and control is up to sort of the powers that be, right? The people in charge. That is globalization. That is that one world government. That is the kind of a no border system,
and the people are completely lobotomized. If you all think that all of the secular government separation of church and state came in vogue because the churches were filled with psychopaths. But the problem is the human rights movement, the women's rights, children's rights, all of the different human rights movements have just been social climbing tools and filled with party politicking. So they've become no better. The secular governing bodies have become no better than the religious ones.
They're in complete control. We don't own property. We don't own precious metals. We don't own any of that. Okay. And then
and all of these capitalists pushing us towards that, they scream, communism, communism, the Reds are coming. Well, now the Reds are the Republicans. Anyway, we had the Reds of the British, then we had the Reds of the commies. Now I got the Reds of the Republicans. Yeah.
Sorry. And then there's another path forward, which is the path of unity. It's the exact opposite. It's all of a sudden the powers that were, the powers that be.
Now, Rianne Eisler, she's a social scientist. She writes a lot about this, but again, academia, and she was a survivor of the Holocaust. She was a young child when that happened, but she was a survivor. So she calls it the power. We've been in the power over, and this is the power of partnership type of paradigm. So you can read her, Rianne Eisler.
The shadow government destabilized, taken down, and now there are new individuals that step into place that are here for the collective, that are here for the people, that start to create, yes, we do need a structure, start to create policies, start to restructure these global systems and also these state nationwide systems to give back to the people, to honor the power of the individual.
But
Okay.
to get to restructure, to rebuild, we need to kick butt and get rid of all of these seat warming asshole bureaucrats here. Drain the swamp, drain the swamp. Let's get to it. Baron Coleman, now he quits his job as a lawyer and started once more of his podcast, trying to promote his podcast. I contacted him. I mean, all of these guys. Look, when Mitch Snow tried to contact Valhalla before he contacted Candace Owens, and Valhalla got drunk on the show instead of reading his chat.
Both of those timelines are coexisting. So this is why there's still so much fight behind the scenes. There is a battle between light and dark right now, because once the systems are destabilized and taken down, we either go into complete New World Order globalization, or we restructure to a more unified, obviously peaceful, and for the people approach. Unfortunately, there have been many years, that have already sort of planted those seeds that lead us down that path of the New World Order. They've been pushing for that for such a long time that it wouldn't take much to restructure to be that way.
To be this Orwellian type of thing. And these are who I am challenging. And many, really, they're my family and friends. I mean, I've been in isolation now for almost 19 years and been canceled because of the unpleasantness, because everybody doesn't want their parties to nobody rain on their parade like Queen Elizabeth II with her Jubilee and hung her son out to dry. Now, of course, I don't know the Queen or any of the the British royals, but I do, know a lot of through my boarding schools in England and the United States. Know them, or a lot of all of these families. Somebody in the family, but anyway, I digress. Let's get on.
We would have to do a massive amount of, economic restructuring and global political restructuring to make it about the people, but we can do it, and it is happening. I have to remind you, it is happening.
It is happening. Well, could you please give me address, the email of where it's happening, so I can go?
There is one timeline where we implode ourselves with nuclear destruction, and there's another timeline where we carry on moving forward together, unified as a society, asking, what do the people need? Not what do the corporations need? What do the politicians need? What do the people need? Okay? What does planet Earth need?
Wouldn't that be something? And a change?
Right? Both of those timelines are currently existing, and that's why a lot of us are really just confused. And I don't blame
people. Yeah, I still trying to get my head wrapped around all of this timeline stuff, because that just opens up. Can you imagine, how many different, and go down to the second of like decisions or things that you do. I mean, it just boggles the mind.
People for being very confused about what's happening. Mostly people who are not buying into the headlines, people who are questioning the headlines, and then behind the scenes, you're seeing different conspiracy theories, you're seeing different accounts, and a little bit of each of those conspiracy theories is resonating with you because a little bit of each of those is true. But how can two of the opposite things be simultaneously true?
Yeah.
That is quantum mechanics. It is possible. It has been scientifically proven. Okay, it's polarity. It's two sides of the same coin. All right, let's see. What else did I have here? So yes, so the white hats or the collective. So a lot of people call them the white hats. They call themselves the collective. And essentially, if we think about the shadow government, there is an opposite to the shadow government called the white hats, and they are essentially here to help support the rebirth of a new system and a new structure, here to help the development and advancement of the people in society. Okay? So that's an organization, a very powerful organization, but
Could somebody please give them my address?
Very much so behind the scenes. They have not been able to act because the powers have been so the individuals in power have just had way too much control. I think it was back in, if you guys have been watching my content for a while, I want to say it was back in 2017 or 2018 where I'm like, okay, it's go time, like do something, do something about the state of the world. And they told me all of our people are in place, all of our strategies are in place, we just have not been able to act. Like they were waiting to act for quite some time. 2020 really made a lot of movement there, but 2025 is really clearing the space. 2026, same thing, the dismantling, okay? We've got another couple years of the dismantling. 2026, 2027, and 2028 is all about collapse. Now, while the systems in the world are collapsing, there are solutions to plastic, solutions to disease and cancers, solutions to, corruption in government. There are solutions coming.
That's where I want to go. I want to be in the middle of that fight.
Out, they're just not hitting the headlines because society is still feeding the beast with fear. Okay, and so
yeah, and they're not hitting the headlines because the podcasters. I mean, I left the journalists behind me long ago. All the mainstream journalists. I have a very, very long list that I want to see in court. Now it's the podcasters. You guys are supposed to be, like truth tellers. No, you're squabbling and you're trying to get clicks and likes and subscribe, and you're becoming just okay. So there's some good things going on there. There's tons and tons of different channels. However, even we're seeing this with Charlie Kirk and the discussions between all of the podcasters, how the algorithms and these bots and are manipulating the whole system, and that's not fair trade or free trade capitalism.
That's the system that's up right now. So the white hats are stepping in to restructure in a unified way. That's what came through. So everything that Trump is doing right now eventually is going to force a reevaluation of globalization and trade, as well as non-government organizations. Now, what do I mean by non-government organizations? I mean let me throw myself back to my political science classes. The World Health Organization, oh my God, this is embarrassing. Why can't I think of any of them? Yeah, there's a bunch of them. I'm so sorry about that. That's really pathetic.
Yeah, as I said, IMF, World Bank,
there are
UN,
organizations that apparently run the world. They're called non-government organizations because they're not necessarily supposed to be, they're supposed to be a neutral ground, and they make big decisions, like the World Bank, the World Health Organization. Right. They actually run the world, but really it's the people behind them, which is the top richest families in the world. Anyway, it's so corrupt. It's so corrupt. Apparently what's happening with Trump and the bombing.
And that's what needs to that, is where we need to go. I have lawsuits all over the place. I've got them argued. I've got them prepared. I mean, you think the Me Too people, like that was oh my God, what's going on in the courts? Give me a voice and let's clean it up.
And everything is going to put pressure on a reevaluation of globalization, a reevaluation of trade, and a reevaluation of NGOs, non-government organizations, okay? This is not going to happen right away.
I mean, I got those guys by the balls. Charmin and Curry, Charmin and Curry and Anne Beatrix Keller are like Gary Melton. You got it? I mean, these people just, well, Adrian Thapa and Gina Peony, so there's some other people, but I mean, these people couldn't have, done a better job of setting up the entire international development community and the globalists, set them up for a fall. Now let's go.
This is going to be in the next couple of years. Okay, and then it's also going to lead to a redistribution of wealth and resources. Not specifically the bombing of Venezuela is going to directly lead to that, but the collapse of the systems that is happening right now is going to lead to that. So I tuned into the White Hats or the Collective, and I said, what's going on right now? Like, what are you guys doing right now? Take a look at the world. And they said that they're working in tandem with this attack. And I said, well, then what does that mean that you're working in tandem with this attack, like with this situation? What exactly are you doing? So they were talking about doing a lot of computer hacking, systems hacking. So the White Hats have a huge organization to them, and they have a lot of anonymous players within their organization. And as all of this chaos is ensuing, not just with Venezuela, but also with Russia and China and Iran, because they're all tied together, it's like one big distraction. And then what I saw is that they're hacking into these individual, not necessarily political parties, computers and systems, but it was like the shadow government's computers and systems. There is a lot happening behind this.
Gary Melton is one, and all of those who attacked Candace like that. I mean, these are the type of moments. And I mean, what happened between all of the podcasters in the past, particularly in the past couple months? It's December, really. Just the how shall I say it? The dynamics and backstabbing, deplatform this one, silence this one. No, you got to come into my side. You got to be friends with me. And so, I mean, this is like so high school, 90210 type. That was the TV show. It's not even funny. But it did show how this whole thing is working.
Scenes that we are not seeing in the headlines right now. And the computer in the system hacking is meant to, one of the things is redistribute resources, to gather information and intel, and to expose human trafficking. We might end up seeing a lot of information getting released about human trafficking in the next couple of years. Once again, not directly linked to the bombing that just happened this past weekend, but one of the things the White Hats are really working on is the dismantlement, I don't think that's a word, the dismantling of the human trafficking system, which, once again, if you've been following my channel, you know that this is a global problem, human trafficking, which serves
my area of expertise, but I need some help. I need some lawyers. What am I going to do all by my little lonesome? Get on my little white horse behind me and go trotting up and say, would you please stop this now?
The elites and in horrible and disgusting ways. If you want to know more about that, go to my website and check out my reptilian videos, Illuminati videos, blood ritual videos, I have seen very disturbing things along my remote viewing journey. Sorry, it's tough to talk about sometimes. And I have relayed that information in other videos. So that's not on YouTube. That is strictly on my website. Okay, so what else?
Sorry, I was just thinking of this. I hadn't even thought of this before. Yeah, Ben Shapiro and all of these castrated jackasses, they got their midget horses that they're riding on. I got my unicorns.
So the white hats are also getting alternative political players in place to take over. So if we use the example of Venezuela right now, even the vice president, from what I've seen and what I've heard, is pretty corrupt. The white hats are looking at alternate political players that are a part of the white hat organization, not the shadow government organization, to go ahead and step in and take over and to change that system for the people, for the betterment of the people. Okay, so that's what's happening. There's a lot of layers that are happening right now. There's also a massive restructuring of these non-government organizations on the back end. We're going to continue to see that restructuring of non-government organizations moving into the next 5 to 10 years. It will take time. We will not be told about this. So we're going to be told about this much later. Like, I will get validation for this video in like 3 years' time of, oh my goodness, look at the hack that happened during the Venezuela bombings and the information that is now being released to the public about everything that was going on with these government organizations and individual players.
I hope it's faster than that.
So behind the scenes battle, yeah. So there's also, we've been in a light and dark battle for quite some time behind the scenes. Now it's all coming to the forefront. This battle that we've been in, that only a select few people have been aware of, is now finally coming to the forefront. So you can't take a
Why did I have to be amongst those select
look at what's happening and think that things are getting worse. They're not. We're just seeing the way that things have always been.
Yeah.
And I think that the number one biggest takeaway from me anyway, just as a objective, neutral observer of the information, is that the shadow government and the New World Order system is pissed off at what Trump is currently doing. I can't say that what he's doing is right or the way that he's going about it is correct. I don't have an opinion on that. But it does say a lot that they are angry and upset with him, that he is sort of messing up the systems that they had in place that were working for them, which were essentially just feeding more money, more power, more control into that 1%. Once again, guys, take or leave this information. If it resonates with you, it's for you. If not, no big deal. I'm not here to convince you. I'm just here to relay information.
You know what's so strange? Because this is coming through into my head right now. That's strange as well. But yeah, it was, when was that? September or something? And Trump like disappeared for 3 days, and everybody was speculating he hadn't posted anything on X. I mean, this is like such an anomaly for Trump. And everybody was speculating, and of course, oh, he's like, they're cloning him, or I don't know about that. It just, and I posted something on that. I was like, I was watching him, and his voice seemed strange or something, and I was like, clone. And now I don't like when people talk about that and say, oh yeah, they're doing that and they've been doing that, and I'm still kind of skeptical about that for human beings. I mean, I know the technology is there, and they've done it with animals, but so I guess because yeah, they don't tell us all. But anyway, that's just something. I don't know. I'm thinking. I'm like, I don't know, he flipped, but this is kind of always his MO. I mean, Trump is not, Trump is only loyal to Trump and his pocket. Well, and let's just say everything he's got in his pants.
So what do we do now? Okay. And I know this is going to sound sort of so woo woo and so like spiritual and like, I'm a very grounded spiritualist. I truly am. But we have to focus on the good in the world. We have to focus on gratitude and appreciation for what you do have. You can send the love to the parts and the places that are getting bombed and getting attacked, not
Yeah,
just Venezuela, but other parts of the
your
world.
prayers.
Send love to your own neighbors. But we've got to keep the highest timeline in mind, that the collapse needs to happen in order to shift the current systems that have never, ever, ever been working for the people. So I don't care if you find yourself on the right wing side of things or the left wing side of things. Both sides are bullshit.
That's
Let me
for
repeat
sure.
that with love.
That's for sure.
Both sides are bullshit.
You
There
don't need to be Einstein, a tarot reader, a remote viewer, psychic, any of that stuff to know that.
There's far more happening behind both sides. They want you to pick a side. They
Yep,
want you to get
yep,
pissed off.
yep,
And they want you to feed the matrix with your fear.
yep.
Everything on this planet is just simply a vibrational frequency. That is
That's exactly what Gary Melton is that energy of sucking in to to this dialogue. I mean, this is just a classic case. I mean, my lord, you all should, all of you interested in psychology and psychiatry, take a look at that and my analysis of him.
is not woo-woo spiritual. That is quantum mechanics. The more we understand about quantum mechanics, the more we understand this frequency field. When you feed fear into something, you are choosing, both individually and collectively, the lower timeline where it's going to look like World War III. It is. If you continue to hold the highest timeline, to find gratitude in everyday small things that directly impact your life, and understand that the collapse and the disarray and the chaos and everything else is all happening for a reason.
This gets into I'm not sure. Oh gosh, I can't remember who this was or whatever, but like that the entire universe is connected, and it does get into this karma, and I guess this is Buddhist stuff, but it's all connected. And I guess this is where in the religion or in Catholicism and Christian religions, you have the idea of the devil, good and evil, and the collective. And if you want to look at it from a physics perspective, this positive energy of, and I mean, I can demonstrate this. Oh, you can just look at my notes on labor rights violations. The collective, and as I say, this is how it applies in the real world, in like a workplace environment. This collective of everyone working together and positive energy and being respectful and courteous and nice. It really is takes less energy to be nice to somebody than it does to be mean. And that collective, so that's like the micro level if you want to take it into a workplace or a family dynamics, and it produces a collective good or a collective bad. And as I think in my last uh, video, like with the Kennedy, somebody said, well, do the Kennedy family have a curse? I said, well, of course they have a curse, but the curse is put on themselves. It's the way they conduct themselves that creates all of these, deaths and different problems. I mean, I'm sorry for their recent loss. Um, but even like when my older sister passed away, oh, uh, we had some issues at the end, and but yeah, as I say, this collective energy. I mean, the energy from my mother, but this is again coming from the mother is the one who socializes the children, the norms, the standards, teaching. I mean, when we were growing up, we all agreed that she was crazy, but they just jumped on the bandwagon, and it has had, as I say, it's karma. I don't know if you want to. I won't get into all my spiritual and religious stuff right now.
So that we can get to a better place, that is the place that you are creating through your focus. Okay? It's the double slit experiment. As we focus on the world around us and our belief of the world around us, we create it. We are fractals of God. We are the creators of this reality. And quantum mechanics proves it. Okay? So don't waste your fucking power by creating more fear and more anxiety and more lower collective timelines by worrying, by focusing on that, by being angry.
Or, well, I'm going to change that by pissing other people off. Live and let live, chill. But not chill in the situation, like, because everybody, there's this idea of the defenders of democracy and the liberals that I want to be free. I want to be free. Like, free to do anything you want. No. If you live in a community, now, if you want to be free and do anything the frick you want, anything, you go and live by yourself. Now, if you want to live in a community and you're going to have a higher level chance of survival, also we are social animals, and we do, need interaction and benefit from interaction. So
don't do it. You are a powerful, conscious creator. Utilize that power wisely and focus on the best possible outcome for everyone in the entire planet. Imagine everyone having access to shelter, everyone having access to food, everyone having access to clean drinking water, everyone having access to free information across the internet.
Okay, except for the last one. See, well, even the last one. See, that's what the World Bank should have been doing for the past 50, 60 years. Instead, financial inclusion. Remember this, you ever talk to any of these economists or something, throw these terms out. Financial inclusion, quantitative easing, and fuck you, buddy.
Internet that is not polarized. Okay? Imagine having everyone having access to remote viewing, to the ability to tap into the universal source codes of all information. Imagine that. Focus on that. Show up for that. That's how you change the world. That's how I'm trying to change the world.
Also, you can change the world by going and getting Ian Carroll's shopping app. And I promise you, I don't know Ian Carroll, like, he's not paying me or anything to promote. But yeah, see, the way I keep on saying, oh, particularly in Spain, that's my favorite. I'm like, oh no, the Spanish, they just exchanged their Catholic churches for El Corte Inglés. Apparently they have a little bit more competition. People from like the 70s, 80s, and 90s, when we still had Galerías Preciados, will know what I'm talking about, but you get the picture. No. And the Americans, it's just the churches or the shopping malls. So the new opioid of the masses is the shopping malls and the goddamn phones that Steve Jobs put out there.
I love you guys so much. Keep up the good work. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you
Okay, so we're going to go on to the next. Let's see where we're at. Yeah, I enjoy. I've got to look at that rapture thing, because that's, believe me, you get bogged. This is one of the things that the podcasters are not realizing with all of their squabbling. I mean, it just, I mean, it's been amusing, this whole Gary Melton thing, and like how he's gone off the rail. And I'm just sitting there going, Mom, Lord, buddy, you are just a perfect case study for any psychiatrist. Um, and yeah, I mean, Candace Owens, this is Freudian stuff all the way, and you're getting Jung. Now, the what is it? The was it Paul Mellon? Yeah, Paul Mellon. This is Tim Mellon's step father. Was very interested in Jung. So you're forgetting Jung. And see, that was Bunny Mellon. Bunny Mellon was like queen of Washington. There was Catherine Graham of the Washington Post, but Bunny Mellon was one of the Capote Swans. So we had the Capote Swan TV series on Netflix of New York, but everybody forgot about what was going on in Washington at the time. We need a TV series on that one. I really like these history TV series and things. There's the Spanish one, which is Velvet. That's like the fashion industry of the 1950s. There's another one about the Victorian era in Asturias, or the north of Spain in the 1800s, late 1800s. It's really good. But, you know, these are period pieces that, because it's, you know, history is more than just like who invaded who and who chopped off whose head. Uh, yeah. Okay, so here's an article again in the press which confirms. Mitch, we'll take a look at it for real quick. Again, confirms. This is from as Kat Espinda. She's the one who contacted Mitch, because she's been involved in combating court corruption in her county for a long time. And she's the one who found these documents of Mitch Snow, and they were using them in another case. Now, believe me, the kind of stuff that is going on, we really do need a grand jury type of investigation, because there's a lot of different threads and a lot of different problems, and it gets into CPS so I mean it is a Pandora's box. However, this was April 2025, long before oh no, this was a conspiracy. Yeah, this is something that's going on that has nothing to do with Charlie Kirk. In the shadow underbelly of Benton County, Washington, rumors cast a disabled Special Forces veteran as a menacing specter, a rogue assassin commanding a secret network of lethal operatives. Branded a mastermind of murder and mayhem, he's accused of orchestrating death threats against judges, prosecutors, and his ex-wife in a chilling plot to dominate his divorce proceedings that have been now ongoing for 9 years. Oh, the lawyers love cases like this. Can you imagine how much money they've milked out of the litigants? I mean, the lawyers, judges, and everybody in the legal community, they're sitting pretty. They're real happy with all the corruption. They're making tons of money. Sensational court claims depict him as a cold-blooded conspirator, wielding his military past to terrorize the innocent, with imaginary bike gangs and an undocumented assassin at his beck and call, ready to strike from the shadows. Yet as the dust settles, the truth behind the villainous caricature reveals a far darker conspiracy, one that demands every American's attention to unravel. This is the story of Mitch Snow, a father whose fight to save his son Nathan has exposed a grotesque network of corruption that thrives on the exploitation of our most vulnerable. I mean, come on, people. We got tons of evidence. This is going on. We've got in communities across the globe. This is not just here in the United States or here in Washington state. This is global, and you do have individuals across the globe, but they are salmons trying to swim up Niagara Falls. I know because I'm one of them. So this is not, the whole conspiracy theorist that everybody, when I came back to the States, I mean, I had lived abroad, been a stay-at-home mom, and then I come back to this cesspool of crocodiles and sharks and crazy people. Conspiracy theory, conspiracy theory. I'm like, wait a second, you have networking. So just, I mean, people do work together, and that's the only reason that these things are able to happen. So when you're talking about conspiracy theory, you're talking about some real facts? Are you talking about some wacko pathological liar like my mother, who I mean, I cannot wait to find out everything that's been said behind my back. This actually started when we left Bogota and moved to Madrid. My ex-husband, he told me, oh, this has been planned. This is during our divorce in 2007, 2008. This has been planned. This has been planned. You're going to end up in a psychiatric ward, doped up for the rest of your life. I was like, my Lord. So yeah, I have to say, I'm going to enjoy finding out all of the things that have been said behind my back. I mean, not just my husband. I mean, I remember when in Bogota, in one conversation, I was like, oh, the Spanish BBV, other expat wives of my husband's company, they despised me, and I never understood why, because I really never pick fights with anybody. I just do my own thing, which is not hanging out in country clubs, which is I wish all of these housewives would stop doing and take an interest in your community. I mean, patriotic housewife, I keep on coming back to that. She's like, West Palm Beach, if West Palm Beach ladies would have paid attention, or East and West Palm Beach ladies, really this gets to the crux of the things, both sides of the tracks, were paying a little bit more attention to what was going on in their communities, in their homes, then we wouldn't have so many pedophiles running around, and all of these men are husbands. This gets into Melania and Donald Trump. Why did they want these beautiful bimbo models, young ones, 20 years younger each time? Yeah, because they don't ask any questions. They don't care as long as they can go shopping. So this is the paradigm shift we need. So Mitch Snow's saga began with a divorce filing to protect Nathan from Lainey Snow, cousin to former Kenwick Mayor Don Britton. What should have been a swift intervention to safeguard a child spiraled into a decade of massive misconduct, as an anonymous whistleblower attests, blatantly obvious for any trained investigator to discover. The evidence is staggering. Depraved abuse. Lainey starved Nathan since birth, leaving him emaciated with life-threatening cardiac issues by 2023. Now, there's a lot of documents about from doctors, physical health and mental health, requiring compression garments to survive. In fact, Lainey, she did what's typically done. She would go from psychologist to psychologist. So if a psychologist was finding out what's going on, she would just switch. She drugged him with cough syrup, melatonin, and sleeping pills, caused penile yeast infections through inappropriate contact 4 times daily for 7 years, and slept naked in his bed, claiming it loving, trusting, and consensual. Dr. Lang, Lord's pediatrics, diagnosed sexual abuse and trauma, confirmed by Dr. Catalano, Seattle Children's, who debunked Laney's congenital condition excuse. See, I had even said before, this woman sounds definitely Munchausen by proxy. Yeah, this is a classic case. Laney's intent was to frame Mitchell for child sexual abuse, to frame her husband, the father. Of course, that gets him in prison. This is my ex when it failed trying to get me locked up in a psychiatric ward. Then they switched tactics and tried to have me locked up in prison. And Spanish prison, I'm sure I would have disappeared. Manipulating medical report. Oh, and my family was just, my mom was waiting that I'd be killed and then she could blackmail my husband. I'm sure I could just see my younger sister starting a, if it was declared a suicide, it would be a suicide nonprofit, anti-suicide nonprofit, or, like domestic violence, my sister got killed. Oh. Yeah. Let's see it right now. Okay, so manipulating medical reports to shift blame, yet records confirm infection only occurred in her custody. And see, the problem is, even if this evidence is in the court documents, doesn't matter. You should see the court documents that are in my divorce. It was a shit show from day one. Lawyers don't know what the fuck they're doing. We have a network across the globe. I even wrote, it was the World Justice Project. They evaluate, what the legal community globally. And I was like, no, 0. You guys get an F. They've just ignored me. But yeah, no. A mess. Violence and terror. Laney hired 14 third parties to stalk, harass, attack, vandalize, and attempt to kill Mitch. This is attempted murder, people. Trying to get somebody put in prison just because you want them locked up, that's illegal. I'm not sure exactly what felonies that would come under, but yeah, big time. I keep on explaining, you use the courts for malicious intent. You were involved in criminal activity. Okay, including 3 assaults in Richland Police's parking lot and 5 swatting incidents to provoke police into killing Mitchell. This lady is a real piece of work. She admitted to holding a revolver to his head and using dogs to punish Nathan for asking for food. See, this is where the dogs come in. My God, this lady is very, very, very sick. And this poor child is being, I'm concerned, this is horrible, but Charlie Kirk is dead. We have to think of Tyler Robinson and make sure he gets a fair trial. But this poor child, these are the type of children. I was lucky because it was basically my husband wanted to kill me, not my children, my sons. And my sons were 14, 15, 16 when this all happened. So they're not young, defenseless. Yes, believe me, there's not a day, a moment that doesn't go by that they're, when it's just your own stuff, it's, for me, yeah, it hurts. But I thank God every day that I haven't been faced with a case of a young child. totally defenseless. Um, Theft and bribery. Laney stole, excuse me, Laney stole $415,500 from Mitchell's savings and 401k, bribing Judge Jackie Shea Brown, Joe Burrows, Alex Ekstrom, Cameron Mitchell, Jackie Stam, and Commissioner Andrew Howell, alongside prosecutors, deputies, and attorneys to secure her immunity. She confessed to delivering funds to Burrows' chambers with no record of the money leaving and boasted of theft, fraud, and intent to harm without fear of prosecution. False accusations. Laney accused Mitchell of 50 capital crimes. Oh, false accusations. I mean, the thing is the Me Too movement has just made the problems that we had already in the courts like go exponential. So Laney accused Mitchell of 50 capital crimes. 50. Murder, conspiracy, abuse, all unsubstantiated. Time to silence his evidence. Her self-incriminating admission contrasts starkly with the absence of any tangible evidence against Mitchell in 10 years, as conspirators recycle each other's baseless allegations as proof. Laney has faced no charges, no jail time, not even a complete investigation. This is the same stuff that's going on with Tyler Robinson's case. See, it's everywhere, everywhere in the courts. Not even a complete investigation, despite 10,000 pages of DCYF reports. I'm not sure what those are. Reports, medical diagnoses, bank records, photos, videos, police eyewitness accounts of her attacks, and her confessions. Mitchell, with no criminal record, has endured 6 false arrests, 146 days in jail, and relentless harassment charged with felonies dismissed for lack of evidence. CPS named him the protective parent, yet he faces armed police squads to suppress his fight for Nathan's safety. Oh, I'm glad to see CPS is on the good side for once. Because, ooh, CPS, that's real. Okay, so here's, what is this? Here's a withdrawal. 9,000? $9,500. On Sunday, April 27, 2025, Mitchell Snow was featured as a guest on the Cat Espinda show, hosted by Cat Espinda, with co-host Joe Rosati, co-streamer of TruthStream, in a breaking news story that brought unprecedented attention to the system's corruption within Benton County. So this has been investigated by journalists, and it's not just Mitch Snow coming forward and saying all of these things. During the program, Snow provided a meticulously documented expose of the judicial misconduct and official collusion that have enabled Laney Snow's continued abuse of Nathan, a 13-year-old special needs child who endures starvation, drugging, and sexual trauma. Espinda, a recognized advocate, along with Rosati, underscored the critical need for immediate intervention to rescue Nathan from his mother's documented maltreatment. Yeah, this is like an emergency. Bam, boom, bam, boom, bam, boom, bam, boom moment of get the fire brigade out and get this child, liberated from this psychopath. Let's see. amplifying Snow's call for accountability and galvanizing public demand for federal oversight to address the entrenched corruption perpetuating this crisis. Benton County's courts, tasked with justice, have become a fortress for predators. Judges recorded accepting bribes in 23 ex parte meetings with Lanny. Issue illegal gag orders and threaten Mitchell's life to silence him. Prosecutors Eric Eisinger and Carly Weissman bury evidence while Don Britton, as mayor and DSHS manager, suppressed CCOM 9/11 responses, sheriff actions, and destroyed CPS and Cadleck medical reports to shield Laney. As CPS manager, Britton obliterates records of Nathan's abuse, enabling her impunity while trafficking women and children through DSHS, silencing victims with threats. An anonymous whistleblower, risking their lives, declares DCYF records show beyond any reasonable doubt that Judge Shea Brown conspired with Laney to sabotage CPS and Kennewick PD investigations. On April 25, 2023, Shea Brown ordered the destruction of evidence supporting Nathan's forensic interviewing allegations. Through DCYF preserved some records. Emails revealed KPD was pressured to admit proof, giving prosecutors plausible deniability to claim we never saw those records. CPS removed Dr. Lane's diagnosis, confirmed by Dr. Castellano, to protect Laney. Shea Brown's conspiracy with Laney, Aaron Massey and Candace Grassick, involved perjury to retaliate against Mitchell on April 20, 2023. She falsified claims Mitchell threatened her after his judicial conduct claim. Transcript provide there was no threat. Yet she coerced Macy to echo the lie, alleging Mitch hired imaginary bike gangs and assassins. The courts coordinated with Laney, Massey, and Grassick escalated when just before, just before Mitchell was set to present evidence on June 5, 2023, in 5 contempt motions and 1 abusive litigation motion, Shea Brown collaborated with them to force a habeas corpus writ and warrant for his arrest on May 31, 2023. The court, aware of Mitchell's scheduled motions and having reviewed his evidence, ensured he could not present it, as Laney simultaneously sought to bury her crimes by destroying Mitchell's records. On June 5, Commissioner Howell had a bail hearing Mitchell was barred from attending, arbitrarily raising his bail from $20,000 to $200,000, despite the prosecutors admitting they possessed exculpatory evidence providing Mitchell's innocence and Laney's perjury. That evening, Laney, Massey, Grassick, and Kyle Salt broke into Mitchell's home, photographing themselves, accessing his computer to forge backdated emails, modify timestamps, and planned evidence, as confirmed by Deputy Murillo's supplemental report. Murillo directing Macy during the break-in instructed her to steal the computer and relocate it to her father's home for later investigations. But the computer's security locked, preserving irrefutable proof of their tampering. The whistleblower notes the existence of assassin networks and biker gangs had been purely imaginary with no evidence against Mitchell, rendering allegations embarrassingly silly. Prior exposes triggered death threats, wrongful incarceration, and malicious prosecution to silence the victim. A whistleblower on behalf of Snow, a mother ensnared by Macy and Grassick's schemes, exposed their broader racket. In 2023, Macy hired her to do, hold on, to do hair for her wedding, bragging during her 2024 wedding about jailing men, stealing belongings like Jacob Carell hot tub, and using let's see, hold on. In 2023, Macy hired her to do hair for her wedding, bragging during 2024 wedding about jailing men, stealing belongings like Jacob Carell's hot tub, and using process serving to steal financial data for identity theft. Identity theft is a huge problem, huge. And they need to go after all of these people. They targeted Mitchell, paid $20,000 by Laney to file false protection orders, exploiting his surgeries. Grassick videotaped Nathan to frame Laney, then demanded payment to retract, later alleging Mitchell's rape and threat using hacked Facebook data. Macy claimed Shea Brown plotted in her chambers, leading to a SWAT raid and Mitchell's jailing. These people are crazy. Oops. There we go. Caught posing as Mitchell's attorney by Judge Peterson, they fled to Oak Harbor after Deputy Murillo tipped them off about perjury charges. See, the whole protection racket. In August 2023, hearing before Laney, accompanied by Macy and Grassick, requested the court unfreeze Mitchell's U.S. bank account for further illegal access. I mean, this is incredible. Where is that? We're trying to steal money from this person, but they're making it difficult. But could you please unfreeze their account so we can get in there? I mean, come on. For further illegal access, selling his belongings, and seize his home at his expense, admitting her intent to use the court to launder her crimes: fraud, breaking and entering, theft of Mitchell's computers and valuables, and destruction of his court records to secure immunity. I mean, this is just, unfortunately, par for the course. In June 2023, protection order motions, Macy and Grassick submitted photos of their break-in, falsely claiming they proved Mitchell was cyber-stalking them while he was in jail. Gibson, without scrutiny, accepted their narrative, enabling the fraud and making a mockery of judicial integrity. Yeah. Um, let's see. Said whistleblower, harassed after rejecting them, faced false CPS reports and forged declarations confirming similar scams against Tim Schultz and Jeremy Hindman. She warns children's lives are at stake. Yeah, this is the problem. And nobody wants to get involved in any unpleasantness. So, Commissioner Howell raised Mitchell's bail to $200,000 on June 5, 2023, despite his innocence, with ad hominem comments suggesting personal vengeance. Laney admitted telling Nathan his father committed suicide in jail. I mean, this is just this poor child, and nobody cares. Nobody cares. Uh, let's see. As Judge Stam, laughing and sneering, added Nathan to an illegal DVPO, holding him hostage under deadly threat. How in the world is this justice with proven abuse happening to Nate? Why are people protecting Nate's mom and so viciously attacking Mitch? At this time, Nate allegedly believes his father is dead, and there is no proof to prove that he believes differently. This is so sad considering his plea for help from his abuser, who he clearly articulated as his mom. Whistleblowers, including a judge and deputies, risked their lives, with the anonymous witness stating, "I and others will need to go into hiding. She fears for her children." Leaders like Rep. Dan Newhouse and Sheriff Jim Raymond refused to act. The local FBI, tied to the judges, dismissed Mitchell's report through an internal investigation, though an internal investigation persists. Benton County clerks have stonewalled Mitch's request for records and transcripts, imposing exorbitant costs and delays to hinder his pursuit of justice, further entrenching the system's obstruction. Nathan, 13 and with special needs, remains starved and abused in a hoarded home, his doctors concerned erased by Britain. Laney's immunity shield, a conspiracy fearing her testimony could indict officials. 3 law firms pledged $5 million to sue Benton County for $117 million for failing Nathan. But laws bar abused children under an abuser custody from suing protecting officials by keeping Nathan with Laney. See how the system is it's fucked. Shea Brown's assertion, "It is impossible for women to rape men," expose depravity. Howell's threat, "You will have to kill yourself to ever see your son again," aims to expire the statute of limitation on the crimes they are recorded being involved committing. See, they're trying to pull out statute of limitations all the time. By targeting Mitchell with malicious prosecutions to ensure Laney's custody, judges shield Benton County from lawsuits, necessitating RICO statutes to deliver justice. Yeah, we got them all under RICO. Believe me, under RICO, we can go after this. Mitchell warns that the U.S. Attorney General awaits Eric Eisinger's report on this case, and any attempt to suppress evidence will lead to perjury charges and convictions for complicity in fraud, forgery, theft, and deceit of court records, implicating those who delay justice to favor their friends and authority. Benton County children are commodities in a corrupt marketplace. Mitchell's courage and whistleblowers' sacrifices demand we act. Every American must flood federal authorities with calls for a RICO investigation. Would you please consider calling on behalf of Mitch and his son, and all of the children in America who are being trafficked. FBI Public Integrity Section 202-514-1412. DOJ Inspector General 703-413-1835 or oig.justice.gov/hotline or U.S. Courts 202-502-2600 for audit. Mitch encourages all men and women to share this story with investigators. Demand protection for Mitchell, Nathan, and whistleblowers against conspirators' deadly threat. Silence risks complicity in Nathan's torment. See, Gary Melton, by trying to silence Mitch, he's also complicit to the abuse that this child is suffering under the law. Please reach out to the following and make your voices heard on behalf of Mitch and Nate. Will McKay, the emails. Michael Alvarez, Jerome Delvin, Eric Eisinger, Jim Raymond, Clint Didier. Okay. Mitch gives a heartfelt message to his son. I am so proud of you, son. You stay strong. And just like I told you, no matter what, they can take me, but they ain't going to destroy my spirit. It's always going to be with you, boy, and I love you. I mean, this poor man. An email went out to Kat Espinda, to those here in Benton and Franklin County, calling for justice on April 28, 2025, asking for an official investigation to this and very important matter. Please make your voice known and email these people on behalf of Mitch and his son. They need as many voices as possible. This is a fight for every child betrayed by a system profiting from their plan. The bad actors in Benton County's corruption thrives in darkness. Illuminate it. Demand accountability for Nathan, Mitchell, and countless victims that we don't know about. Yeah, there are millions. Act now, for every moment we delay, a child suffers. Let Washington, D.C. hear our roar to end this injustice and restore honor to our courts. In the meantime, Snow has hired attorney Kim Oren to represent him in court in the continued fight for his son and his safety from his abusers. In the meantime, a full investigation is demanded and warranted. Please help save Nate and bring him back to his father and make your voices heard. For Nate, justice for Nate. I will follow up with more news on this story as it develops. And that's by Kate Espinda. I am just a woman using my voice for the truth. See, it just takes a village of pissed off women to use their voice for truth. And we can fight this. I am in the Matrix. I was a CEO of Prodigy Property Management, an expert in finance with experience in procuring new business, management, and staff with 114 employees when I retired in a successful company to get into the fight for our country and grandchildren. Yeah, see, this is not some bimbo. Susan Andrews married to Tucker Carlson. Yeah, maybe she knows how to cook, but what is her prep school given? I mean, this is the product of the prep schools, and this is one of the problems. I mean, yeah, Tucker Carlson, I agree. I'm very thankful for a lot of the people he's invited and the interviews and stuff, but put your money where your mouth is, buddy. Otherwise, you're going to end up like Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette. Okay, so, I hope I was sharing this. Yes, good. Okay, so now let's go back to my slides. Now, okay, let's look at this in a moment.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. It's me, Colin, Project Constitution. With me today is my boy from convict to conservative on X. His handle is at Yakova Renewed, YAAKOV Renewed. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. You can tell people how it's pronounced, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's just Yakov Renewed, bro.
Yakov. Okay. Anyway, we got quite a story to tell for you today. He found some information here which is quite useful in regards to Fort.
Okay.
I was really trying to dig into and understand what's up with Fort Huachuca, why there's so many people that are attacking Candace Owens over her story about Mitch, right? And I'm like, I understand the concept of it being an intelligence hub, an army intelligence hub, right? With certain things like, the drone training being the largest training center in all of the United States, from what I've read out of all of the bases. So I knew there was something up with Fort Huachuca. So I started digging, and I wanted to get a broader understanding. So I started looking into people that were ahead of, basically over the intelligence side of the units at Fort Huachuca. So I found this general, and as I was digging into this general, his name goes by Albert Stubblebine, right? I'm digging into this general, and I'm finding out all kinds of, I would call it dark history, with him being involved in the Stargate program, in the military, and then being a part of, the startup of the intelligence at Fort Huachuca. So I was digging into him, and I found it quite interesting how I found a video where Alex Jones interviewed this general from Fort Huachuca, like 15 years ago. I believe the general passed on in like 2017, but, since Alex Jones wants to insert himself into the Fort Huachuca story and attack Candace Owens, I thought we could just include him in this video on the breakdown of who this general was at Fort Huachuca and what he started and what he left behind.
Yeah, it definitely is important here. We'll go ahead and play a few minutes of it, but it goes to show that he definitely knew this general for sure and was connected with him. So
right.
Into the next hour, I've got a meeting I've got to go to after that. So I'll do 10 minutes of overdrive. I just decided to do it. It'll be at prisonplanet.tv, video stream at infowars.com, audio streams only. We'll see if General Stubblebine and Dr. Labo can stay 10 minutes into the next hour. I've got a meeting I've got to go to after that, so I couldn't do it any longer. But I'll ask them on air right now. Can you guys do 10 minutes into the next hour?
For the sake of getting truth out, you got it.
You bet your bottom dollar.
Awesome. So
I want to
that's
share
the general
something
on the
with you
phone
that
there,
just
by the
came
way.
into my email box, Alex. It seems
that's his
that
wife.
there is a health reform.
to the documents, zoom in on this. This ties into the FEMA camp bill. Zoom in on this for folks. I meant to get to this. This bill will fund a bunch of girls and women in the trials. And it's
The answer to that's yes.
There he
And
is.
look at all of the soldiers who step up in the line and say, yeah, shoot me. Shoot me with a shot or shoot me with a shotgun.
And once again, get court-martialed if they don't. I'm going to say it again, Alex. Listen, folks. Get a pen, get a pencil. If you're on the internet right now, type in to the address bar www.healthfreedomusa.org. Health Freedom.
So from this episode that I watched of it seemed like he became a patriot.
Oops.
And they were talking about lockdowns and vaccines, kind of like exactly pretty much what we went through in 2020. So it seems like, he was really speaking out about a lot of stuff during that time that was a silenced topic, lockdowns, all kinds of stuff they were talking about. And from what I see here, it said he was a member of the Oath Keepers too. Like after his military service and being a general, he was a part of the Patriot movement, quote unquote, the Oath Keepers. I mean, I don't really know much about them, but they're I don't know. They seem like a bunch of feds running around to me, but you know what I'm saying? I don't really know because I don't know anybody a part of that. But so let's dig into let's dig into this general's background and what he did in the military and what he was a part of as far as Stargate. So here's his biography right here. So in 1968, Stubblebine was transferred to the staff of Military Assistance Command, Vietnam, and later was assigned to the 25th Infantry Division as its G2 intelligence officer. For his service in the Vietnam War, Stubblebine was awarded the Legion of Merit and the Bronze Medal. As colonel, Stubblebine participated in a special task force that defined the requirements of U.S. military for future conflict. Stubblebine became he became a proponent of psychic warfare and initiated a project within the U.S. Army Intelligence and Security Command, which he commanded from 1981 to 1984 to create a breed of super soldier who would have the ability to become invisible at will and walk through walls. So, okay, okay, so this is like, you're digging into like the spiritual realm of psychic ability, having out-of-body experiences, having visions. Like he was real into this stuff with the extrasensory perception. Like this was a big proponent of his.
And let me just say this too, is I can tell you from speaking to people I know in the CIA that this stuff does exist. It is 100% real. They are using it. Not only can they go in and see what people are doing with the psychic stuff, but they can actually go into another room in another place, like say Russia, where Putin's generals are. Somebody can,
see this
in their mind, they can use their mind and go into that room and see what they're doing in the room with Putin and his generals, just by focusing and doing their.
So everybody who's Elizabeth, April, I can't hear my father. He was a real scientist. He's like, all of this like voodoo stuff. No, but
the psychic viewing and stuff. So it is real. I know it sounds kind of wild, but this stuff is actually happening.
Yeah, and in the comments too, on the comments of this video, I'm gonna post a link to actual CIA documents where they were doing the Stargate program. So I'll post that in the comments for you guys to go look up. This was a 20-year program with the intelligence community, with the CIA and the military. They ran this for 20 years. Now the question is they ran it for 20 years, put millions of dollars into this program, so it obviously worked. Now, did they change the name of this program after a certain amount of time and it became widely known to the public? Because there's things today that if you take and you dig into the program Stargate, you can see the same thing being integrated in AI, which if you remember, Donald Trump brought Larry Ellison and a few other folks with the AI. It was Larry Ellison, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Larry Ellison, and they started Stargate AI. So why would they, why would these tech giants bring an old CIA program, right? Which Larry Ellison was running Oracle back during the time of Stargate too. That's when he started up. So why would he take that old name of an old CIA program and integrate it with AI if it wasn't something that they were actively doing today, but just using a more technological form of the old movement of Stargate, the old program? Sorry. So go ahead.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So go to the second link. So we're going to show people, what he did and how he was the startup to the intelligence community at Fort Huachuca. So I think that second link I got. Go ahead and pull that up, bro, and we'll see which one that was.
Is that the one?
Okay, so this one. Okay, so here's the confirmation to his service at Fort Huachuca. He was the commanding officer. I'll also post these links in the video as well. From the collection of the History and Archives Division, Arizona State Library Archives and Public Records. So these are basically his image. Go ahead and go to that third one, bro, and we'll give them a broader understanding of what this general actually did. Now, I'm not implicating this general and saying that he was a bad person or saying anything of that matter, but I will say that I personally believe, in my opinion, that a lot of these high up military officers were involved in dark stuff. Like I was digging into a general last night, another general that was actually he was a Satanist. He was a known Satanist, and he started like a satanic church and all this crazy stuff. I mean, you can read that even in the book of Behold the Pale Horse. There was a military general in there too. I think actually he was with the Navy, if I remember correctly. And they were into dark stuff. You know what I mean? Like, they were into super dark stuff. Let's see what you got right there. Okay.
Yeah, there's no doubt that
Fort Huachuca is relevant because would you agree, bro? Like this, all this intelligence. These intelligence psychological operations and these bases, like it's all very, very relevant. And for TPUSA to run this circle and try to discredit Candace. I mean, you just posted a video this morning of the dude's son confirming that he was at Fort Huachuca with a phone call. Yeah. And how many times do these people need to get a foot on their neck for attacking Candace Owens? And
Gary for the win again
every time. So let's give a clap.
Gary for the win again.
Another Gary for Candace. Okay.
Clap for Gary too, because Gary is
okay. But I want everybody to realize, everybody out there who's mocking Gary Melton, myself included, I've done it. Yeah, I'm really concerned. I want y'all to know I'm really concerned about his wife and his children. He has an anger management problem, big time. So this is how it goes. See, when he gets humiliated, guess who's going to pay the price?
Inadvertently,
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay, I can't hear you, so I'm just gonna go.
Hold on,
There might be something up with your mic.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, brother.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying also clap to Gary because Gary inadvertently is proving our case more than ever, man.
Good job, Gary. You're 2-0, brother. 2 days in a row, bro.
Yep.
Great job. Okay, so what was that? Okay, so that
I'm
is
doing it.
man, this stuff is just so funny, bro. Okay, go ahead and go down a little bit. So okay, so this is the general's. Okay.
Yep.
So this is the start of Fort Huachuca's intelligence, with this general being directly involved in it. Now, don't forget, this general was involved in the Stargate program. So he's taking all of that intelligence, everything that his mindset has been geared to, and he's taking that into the intelligence, psychological. You know, there's no PSYOP unit that I found at Fort Huachuca, but this is psychological operations.
I'm sure it is. It's just down, it's I'm sure classified though.
Yeah, there's something up with Fort Huachuca involved in it. And with this general being already involved in programs like Stargate AI, there's something up with Fort Huachuca. So it says, in 1971, the U.S. Army Intelligence Center and School and the Combat Development Command Intelligence Command were moved from Fort Holabird, Maryland, to Fort Huachuca.
That's near me, by the way. I know exactly where Fort Holabird is. And yeah, they also were involved in that kind of shit as well.
Oh, were they?
Yep.
Not a surprise. Okay, so the move increased the Fort Huachuca population by almost 3,000 students that were attending the school in wooden buildings that were left over from the World War II era, and when the post was a training base for the 92nd and 93rd Infantry Buffalo Soldiers. Okay, so here you go. Brigade General Albert Stubblebine, commander of USAICS, and Brigade General Kenneth Sims, deputy commander of U.S. Army Communications Command, participated in the groundbreaking. As initially outlined, a new facility would accommodate an average daily load of 1,200 students and staff faculty of 833. The first 3 buildings were dedicated January 14th, 1981, comprising a total of 16 classrooms to accommodate 757 students. The Student Support Center became Alvarado Hall, named for Lorenzo Alvarado, a master sergeant in World War I. The first tenants were staff and faculty. Okay, so this is just basically to show you guys that, and I'll post all these links in the video, so you guys can go dig into this stuff too. So this is just to show you that he was a part of the dig up. Now go to the next link, bro, and we're gonna really give you a broader understanding of what he was really involved with. Okay, so this right here is gonna tell you how high up he was and how deep he was into the remote viewing. So born 1930 to 2017, he was a major general in the United States Army whose active career spanned of 32 years. During his time as commanding general of the U.S. Army Intelligence and Security Command from 1981 to 1984, after which he retired from active service. Okay, so go down a little bit. So this is a quote by the general here. I told you, if you either did it or believe in it, you probably would be out of your mind, because everyone knows that this is not a doable do. Can't do that. However, we can and we do. So first of all, let me tell you a little bit about what remote viewing is. It is independent of time. Okay, so I can go past, I can go present, I can go future. So he's telling you what his ability is in remote viewing. Okay, first of all, remote viewing is extremely demonic. Okay, like when you're talking about coming out of your body and doing this type of psychic stuff, this is demonic. Okay, you are getting. Okay, so I'm not saying that I'm against visions or out of body experiences when you're experiencing them with Christ, though. But when you're doing them in a dark atmosphere, like in the military and for the
weaponizing them, exactly.
They're weaponizing these abilities, right? It is independent of time. Okay, so he says it is independent of location. So I can go anywhere on this earth. I can go into any closet. I can go into any mind. Psychological warfare. I can access that information at any location that I choose. It is independent of space, so therefore I can access that information any place on the planet. Off of it, I choose. So this general his capabilities were more than just sitting in a room and writing on a board. He was taking people through training of how to do remote viewing. And how I know this is because after he got out of the military, he started a company called PSI that was also training other people out of the military to do remote viewing. Okay, so on the bottom here's where he goes into Stargate a little bit. I'll keep reading. You can stay there, bro, as I read. It was only after his retirement that the full extent of Stubblebine's interest in PSI phenomena in the interest of psychic warfare became known. He is considered the main sponsor of the famous Stargate project and massively supported further research. Stubblebine was a co-founder and former board member of the American remote viewing company PSI Tech. So that's what this website we're on right here is, the company that he started. Now there's different people, witches, whatever you want to call them, psychics, that are in place running programs right now on how to teach people how to do remote viewing. As a one main sponsor of the Stargate project in Fort Meade, Maryland, Stubblebine believed in the reality of a wide variety of psychological phenomenon. Stubblebine was a very key figure in the U.S. military invasion in Grenada in 1983. Do you know about that invasion, bro?
Just a little bit. I haven't dug deep into it, so
yeah, I haven't dug into that either. It makes me wonder. I'm gonna do some research on that one too. But as you guys can see here, he was a major sponsor, co-founder of a remote viewing company. You know, you guys do your research on Stargate. I'm gonna read this one from Fort Meade too. That's not on there, but there was a general, I believe that was his successor, and I was telling you this earlier. That basically he discontinued the program that he was doing because he viewed it as Satanism. He literally reviewed his psychological methods as Satanism. And I mean, that's just crazy in itself, bro. You know, that these military officers are engaged in this type of warfare. Like, it's even back then, it wasn't bombs and bullets. They were running psychological operations and psyops way back when. Now it's just a more advanced technology of how they're doing it today, right? Like we discussed with the Stargate AI stuff. But you know, at this point, you know, Candace Owens has said this herself, you know, and I've been digging into this, you know, and just really on a discernment aspect, like so many people that you would view as intelligent people and have, you know, very professional backgrounds are playing stupid. And you know, over the weekend, you know, everybody's talking about coming out and disproving Mitch's story about, you know, where his whereabouts were and how they were using it to discredit him was based upon his past.
which has nothing to do with the story.
Which has nothing to do with it. And you know, I want to bring this up too. What's his name? Valhalla VFT had JD on, which I like JD. I like his content. And he had him on basically, you know, saying that, you know, we push a hard line on people that abuse women and all this stuff. Like, yes, I get that concept because, you know, I myself in my past, before I had a radical transformation, I got a master's degree myself in prison politics until I had a supernatural encounter with Christ. And here I am in the secular world of politics. But, you know, for them to use that against him, to discredit him, is like, it's a childlike mindset. Right? Like, you can't discredit a person's testimony. For one, when you go into court as an eyewitness to a crime, they don't run a background check on you to see if you're valid enough to go on the stand and give your testimony about somebody that you seen get robbed, shot, or killed on the corner. They go, oh, your testimony is not dismissed because you have a record. Now, here's the other point I want to make is, if Ghislaine Maxwell was in a courtroom being a child trafficking pedophile, and she came and made a video after she got out of prison of who she witnessed at Jeffrey Epstein's locations, would we just dismiss her because she's a child trafficker?
Not at all. And that's the thing. Especially like when you're dealing with the police, most of the people that are informants on them are all criminals. And honestly, they're some of the best informants because they're people that know what's going on. They know the game. They know it. So, but, I mean, it's everything they're doing is just completely disingenuous, and that's what pisses me so off about it. You know,
right?
They're intentionally lying.
Yeah, they're intentionally lying, and it's funny the way that it's just like the way that it came about a few
Okay, so I'm going to
days ago. They're like, oh, even Alex Jones.
That's a discussion you all can listen to. You know, the links are here. As I say, the links are here. You've got Stu Peters' interview with Mitch Snow. That's something I'm going to have to get this, how to get to work. So, but I did want to go over these things. I do encourage everybody to look at, we'll just go there real quick.
Best interests. But as soon as they finished their conversation, which Mitch recorded and provided to the Stu Peters Network, which I have subsequently posted on X, Gary Melton immediately turned around and stabbed him right in the gut. He started coming after him. He accused him of stolen valor. He dogpiled with Alex Jones and the rest of these people to try to crush Mitch's story. And now he's threatening legal action against Mitch for recording their phone call.
I mean, really, Gary Melton should be ashamed of himself. Even in the slides, you got a British soldier. I'm like, oh, this is the typical British soldier in the American Revolution that we were fighting. This is what we were fighting against.
Yeah, because he's terrified. But people like Alex Jones and Valhalla and Gary Melton, they're not alone in this situation. Morgan Ariel has inserted herself. Evan Kilgore is in the mix as well, doing everything that they can to attack Mitch.
Yeah.
Evan Kilgore claims that he's talking with Mitch's former friends and former girlfriends and long-lost family members who are giving them the rundown on just how bad of a guy Mitch Snow actually is. But in reality, these people are just throwing everything at the wall and hoping that it sticks. All of them. They're all hacks.
They're criminals.
They accuse this guy, Mitch Snow, of everything under the sun, from spousal abuse to child abuse to working on behalf of British intelligence alongside Candace Owens, because they're trying to sow doubt in Mitch's testimony and steer their viewers and their listeners into buying the official Charlie Kirk, Tyler Robinson assassination narrative, or a controlled opposition narrative that drives them away from the truth, that drives them away from Fort Huachuca. These people are running cover for the people in the operation that murdered Charlie Kirk. An operation that quite obviously is still ongoing, especially when we're talking about the information sphere, which is being pummeled with anti-Mitch Snow disinformation, which of course is all meant to take your eyes off of reality and sweep you up into things that just don't matter at all. Which is why we just really haven't entertained it, because people like Alex Jones and the rest of them, they want you to believe that in order for someone to tell you what they saw and what they witnessed or experienced, that they have to be perfect. They have to be godlike. They have to have wings like they're an angel or something with a halo over their head. And you know what? That's just not true.
And,
Mitch Snow.
And this is so arbitrary because it can switch at any moment. Look with the Virginia Gouffre case. I mean, that woman was, and really a lot of the victims of Jeffrey Epstein, because they were prostitutes. They were young sugar baby prostitutes. Now, we get into and this has just come out recently, because in most of everything before now, it was usually 16, 17 years old. And I don't agree with Megyn Kelly often, but I do agree with her on this point. When we're talking about 16, 17-year-old post-pubescent young men or women, it's another can of worms than a prepubescent child. Most people lose globally, the average age to lose your virginity is 17 years old. So I keep on pointing out, you guys, so what do we have? The world filled with pedophiles? Well, yeah, I agree with that. But you all, this trying to change the definition of what is pedophilia, I know people are like, no, it is important because this is muddying the waters. So when we're trying to go after real pedophiles, people, oh, don't talk to me about that. I mean, come on, a 17-year-old girl who sleeps with, it's not the same thing as an 8-year-old child, a 2-year-old child, even a 10, 13, 14. So we are getting into that age. And this, when they're going through puberty, that's where it's like, as I say, it gets into muddying the waters. So now we are seeing some stuff with Epstein that there are some children involved. I mean, not toddlers and babies, which we can thank small favors for small favors. And no, like eating of children and drinking of blood we're seeing elsewhere in the occult.
Is trying to share some of the most important information of our lifetime with the entire world. And he's doing so at great personal risk and great personal cost, as he finds out that these feds and soul sellers are working around the clock to take him down and dismiss his story, which no one has been able to disprove or debunk. Let's get down to brass tacks here. Just keep in mind, no one has been able to credibly refute what Mitch Snow says that he saw on Fort Huachuca on September 8th and 9th, 2025.
Yeah, they just are focusing witch hunt against him, witch hunt against him. He's bad, 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 bad. He's bad, he's bad, he's bad, he's bad. See the psyop? Everybody has to believe he's bad. Don't listen to him. He's bad, he's bad, he's bad. It's the witches brew and the witches. See how it works?
His testimony, especially regarding Erica Kirk and the Turning Point USA insiders that he saw on Fort Huachuca, has been met with incredibly shaky alibis or no alibis at all. Everyone's behavior surrounding this has been incredibly strange and flat out bizarre, which is a major indication that Mitch is onto something. And so are we. So with that said, we wanted to talk directly with the source of this information. We wanted to extend our platform to the person that Alex Jones has been trashing without extending the same invitation. And to that end, Mitch Snow joins us now. Mitch, thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you being here.
So yeah, I hope everybody will listen to that. It's in the link in my slides. There we go. And see this global cabal that you need to be concerned with? Here, this is the IMF. This is with Christine Lagarde. There we've got Sharmini Curry. She was head of the Institute for Capacity Development. I mean, this woman is a perfect case study of the damage. And this you can find on LinkedIn. I'll put a link into this, the article on LinkedIn that goes into Ingrid Betancourt. She's from Colombia. She was a presidential candidate in 2002, 2022 for the Green Party. She was also kidnapped by the FARC for 8 years. In 2002. But her father was involved in this. Was it was under the Kennedy administration. It's like Pacific Alliance or something like that. That was educational, because her father had come to the United States. He was from a, I guess, middle class or maybe poor family in Medellin. And he got a scholarship to come and study in the States. He was an economist, and that launched his career in the Colombian government as a civil servant bureaucrat. and then in the international arena. And that, of course, Ingrid kind of followed in her father's footsteps for the bad. And so anyway, he was involved in that, but I'm like, wait a second, Ingrid, look what that has produced. The idea of the whole thing was that these foreign students would be educated and then return to their home country with MBAs, PhDs, and all of this, academic knowledge, and help to develop their countries and third world and, noble causes. But of course, we got the World Bank in there, also with their hand in the pot. So, but that hasn't been productive. And in fact, 75% of PhDs, foreign PhDs, don't return to their home country. They stay in the United States. So this has created a brain drain from, or helps along, because you also have the educated people in these third world countries or developing countries who are coming to the United States, who are educated there, but come to the United States on, these liberal visa policies because they have better opportunities here. The standard of living is higher. So all of these immigrants, whether they be the highly educated ones or not, have not made a good contribution, and Sharmini Curry is one of them. Now, she was a mentor of Larry Summers. Larry Summers is Harvard, and believe me, Larry Summers is all over the map in the problems in the financial markets and banking systems. So he's the one, along with Ivanka Trump, who decided it wasn't Trump, but it was Ivanka and Larry Summers who put Malpass in as the president of the World Bank. And then he resigned early, just like his predecessor, Obama's Dr. Kim. Now, this is the little cesspool of feminist bullies that needs to be taken care of. And I'm sure I think Christine Lagarde is not I think she's probably a very personable person. I crossed hall, in the halls with her a couple times, like getting into an elevator. She was like, no, come in. She wasn't pretentious at all. So I think she's a personable person, but see how this little group of diversity, equity, inclusion stabbed that woman in the back. We keep on going back. I keep on going back to, I'm going to pull it up for y'all. Tripping the Prom Queen. Tripping the Prom Queen, The Truth About Women and Rivalry by Susan Shapiro Barash is a nonfiction book that explores the hidden competition and rivalry between women, challenge the myth of female solidarity based on, and this convert competition, often focused on appearances, relationships, and career, stems from societal training and not enough pie mentality, and she offers strategies for healthy relationships. Key themes and concepts. Covert rivalry. The book posits that female competition is often more vicious because it's hidden, unlike male competition, which tends to be more overt and goal-oriented. Areas of competition. Barash identifies key areas where women competition, including beauty, relationships, children, and the workplace. See what she basically demonstrates and even says outright is that, the only thing the feminist movement has accomplished, that's my words, has been to increase the competition between women for meal ticket husbands, mansions, successive children, which for them is straight A's, and a six-figure salary or millionaire, billionaire child. Who gives a shit if the kid is miserable, on drugs, whatever, that they have a straight A student or a rich child, and that's their success. So those previously those were the standards between which women judged each other and which women were judged in society, how they kept their home. Oh gosh, you should see with the Spanish women. I mean, a traditional Spanish woman, I mean, that home is immaculate. I remember Mimi Carmen. She was always, I loved Mimi Carmen. So anyway, yeah, this competition has not been a positive contribution to workplaces, societies, political arenas, anywhere. Because, and what I was going to say is it's just increased the competition for those things that they were previously were competing for to include jobs. And this is precisely Adrienne Thapa, the office manager of ICD. She got rid of me because I was a threat. Kate Phillips, she was the previous one. She didn't, you know, she kept me seat warming, and a floater secretary because she knew I was a threat as well. All of the secretaries kept on coming to me going, oh my God, oh my God. We had Kate Phillips. But then when Adrienne Thapa was coming in, it was like, oh no, this is going to be excruciating. This is going to be worse than hell. So I'm like, I know, I'm on it. But of course, I get fired and, oh, sorry, I don't want to get involved in any unpleasantness. I mean, when the little ladies in that office told me that, I was like, you're already involved. Excuse me, but fuck you bitches. Oh, God. You could telling me I made my bed, now I got to lie in it because I opted out of the workplace in the 80s. That I missed the boat. I keep on telling these bitches, well, guess what? The boat you got on is a Titanic, and you left me at the dock holding the booty, bitch. So, ha, 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 the joke's on you. Sorry, I'm drinking some water. Okay, societal roots. She suggests that societal structures like limited opportunities for women, limited opportunities for women. Everybody has limited opportunities. An unrealistic expectation for female friendships. Oh, I've never had any delusions. The mommy mystique and twining syndrome fuel this rivalry. I mean, I guess, you know, I'm misogynistic, but that's because, you know, with a mother and sisters like I've had, I try, and when I meet any woman, I try and keep an open mind that not everybody's like the women in my family, but time and time, they prove me that they are just like that. I mean, really, I always say, oh, the only reasons I have ever had any girlfriends because I went to girls' boarding schools and I was a stay-at-home mom. So yeah, it would have been kind of lonely if I completely isolated myself from these crazy cackling hens. Tripping the prom queen. Look, tripping the prom queen. This phrase refers to the act of sabotaging a rival, often the popular or successful woman. Jealousy. But this is not just between women. This is with the same with the men. You can see this like the rivalry between Gary Melton and who's the soldier, and Baron Coleman, who's the white collar criminal lawyer. I think as things goes, he's a pretty up and up lawyer. He's just misogynistic. You know, he never responded to my email and my phone calls. He put me on, blocked me. Well, he called him back. Busy. Okay, screw you, buddy. Want to play that game? Okay. So solutions. The book moves from exploring the problem to offering strategies for transforming competition into healthier, more supportive relationships. Well, there I direct you to Rianne Eisler, Power of Partnerships, and all of that stuff. But that's not happening until you get rid of these viperous bitches and terrorists that you got in there. Gina Paoni, Charmony Curry, Kalpana Kochar, Nuti Kuria, but she's not IMF. She was the head of the National Women's Democratic Club. Oh, there's a whole bunch of them. Drain the swamp, drain the swamp. So what the book offers, an analysis of why women compete and how it differs from male competition. Yeah, I mean, men hit each other. Well, pretty much it's done with, You hit me, boom. And even they'll be like, okay, yeah, I deserve it. Go ahead. Punch me. We're done. Okay, we're done. Oh, no, 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 no. With women, it festers, and we're going to destroy you. And we're going to gang up, and I'm going to find friends and allies, and we're going to, oh, Lord, Lord. Thinking putting women in positions of power is going to save the world. I'm going to enable the devil. Real life examples from interviews with hundreds of women. A framework for understanding envy, jealousy, and competition. Hope for forging better relationships by recognizing and managing these dynamics. Well, I don't have much hope, believe me. If I found a lawyer to get rid of all of these witches. Really, you got the devil in here. Witches and warlocks. So this is called Panacochad. Oh, Olivia Graham. I love this. Unfortunately, she's deceased. She was the ethic advisor at the IMF when I went in the meeting with her after my second firing. And this is the 150-page report that I sent to the IMF about all of their bullying problems in the IMF Family Association and my case against Institute for Capacity Development. She said, oh, well, this is illegal, but it's not immoral. I mean, I literally sat there going, thinking in my mind, I have heard for all my life, this is immoral, but it's not illegal. But this was the first time I had ever heard any of these assholes tell me it's illegal but not immoral. As I said, you just sit there going, what? Did I just fall into the looking glass? Yeah, you did. Okay, so this is Gita Ravindra. She was a mediator in family courts. When I saw that, I was like, okay. So when I went into my meeting with her, I had already read her book. Of course, I'm prepared. I prepare myself for these things. On I forget, interracial, but I think her husband is Indian as well. But so I guess it's like Indians in the United States, whatever. If you're an Indian talking about how you're oppressed or a Muslim or something like that, ooh, the publishing companies will give you book deals right and left. So anyway, she told me Christine Lagarde is never going to find out about this. And I just sat there thinking, oh, bitch, you do not know who you are declaring war against. See, this is the thing. You ever declare war against somebody? Find out who your enemy is first. That's like rule number one of engagement. Don't go in hell bent if you don't know what you're up against. Idiots, absolute idiots. This is Adrienne Thapa. Oh, that little lady. I cannot wait to see her in court. Now, Kalpana when all of this happened, it was Mark Plant. And I think Mark Plant is gay. But he got a letter from me. Kalpana did as well. She's over at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation now. This woman needs to be terrorist, ousted. See, all of these terrorist cells, and she was Republican Party. I think she was even president of the Republican Party Women's Club or something of New York, Adele Malpass. Now, she was, since her husband was president of the World Bank, she's honorary president of the World Bank Family Network. She got a letter from me. She's with Moms for Liberty. Moms for Liberty, this Tiffany Justice, all she was concerned about is getting on a podium with Trump. And now she has an associate, whatever, something expert at the Heritage Foundation. So see, she wants just, so instead of a PhD, they put her into a think tank and she gets a position at the think tank. And this validates that she's an expert in this arena where she doesn't know what the frick she's doing. And in fact, okay, I applaud very much her how she was able to build the chapters and build that organization, the structure. But this is the problem. You have a good structure, but then if it's mismanaged, well, then it can be counterproductive. Because, for example, Moms for Liberty, all of the chapters, and I can promise you, she has gotten emails and phone calls from me several times, never responded. All of the chapters across the country, all of them got an email from me. I mean, when I do a job, I do it, up, down, sideways, and every which way. All of them, not one responded. What the frick? I'm working on parental rights and we're at the international courts. No, it's all about getting up on podiums, getting in the limelight, getting a post on a think tank or nonprofit and cashing in. So that's the problem. So I'm going to finish it up today. I do need to start getting ready to go to work. They gave me 2 hours. I mean, oh gosh. See, labor rights in this country have gone to shit and can't find a frickin' lawyer. I mean, we got to clean up the judges and the courts. Yeah, I get it. And any of the good lawyers, we know this from Barry Goldstein with the family court reform people, if you stand up to them, you're going to get disbarred. Oh, you can commit as many crimes as you want, and they'll never disbar you. But stand up to the corruption, and you will be disbarred so fast you can't even, blink. So, yeah, thanks, Mitch, for bringing all of this into the light. And my prayers are with you, and I'm here. Please contact me. I hope to talk to you soon. Okay, everybody, that's it for today. Again, I really could help with some kids try and splice down these videos into clips, and because I know nobody's gonna stay. What is this thing? 2.5 hours almost. But I'm trying to keep them as short as possible. Okay, so have a nice day. Maybe I'll try and do something this afternoon if I have time, and we'll continue on. Oh, but I mean, the thing is I haven't even listened to Gary Milton's podcast from yesterday, and he's still going after Mitch Snow. I mean, it's like this man, he is a glutton for punishment. He just can't stop. He's obsessed. And I mean, just like Candace was saying with TPUSA, this obsession is getting like psychopathic and dangerous. Yeah.